Ladies and gentlemen, rejection. It is a word that shakes the soul, especially when it comes from the very child you once held in your arms, nurtured with love and sacrificed so much for. To be cast aside in old age, forgotten by the one you devoted your life to, may seem like a cruel twist of fate. But what if I told you that rejection, this deep, heart-wrenching pain, could be one of the greatest blessings of your life? You see, we grow up believing in an unspoken contract. If I love my child unconditionally, if I give them everything, they will love me back forever. But life does not work on contracts. It works on reality. And the reality is that people change. Children become adults, shaped by their own experiences, their own choices, and sometimes those choices do not include us. At first, this realization feels like a storm, shaking the foundation of your soul. But within that storm lies the truth. Your worth is not defined by another person's love, not even your child. Rejection forces you to confront yourself in the silence of solitude. It asks you, who are you beyond the role of a parent? For years you poured love into another person. But did you ever stop to pour love into yourself? Did you ever pause to embrace your own dreams, your own joys, your own being? This is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you live not for validation, not for the longing of a child's acceptance, but for the pure joy of being alive. Rejection frees you. It unchains you from expectations and teaches you the most profound lesson of all. Your happiness is your responsibility. And what about the child who turned away? Do not burden your heart with resentment. Instead, embrace forgiveness. Not for them, but for yourself. Holding on to bitterness only prolongs the pain, while letting go allows you to walk forward with dignity and grace. So, if you find yourself rejected by the very one you raised, do not despair. Rise. Embrace the blessing of solitude, the beauty of self-love, and the power of living life for yourself. Because in the end, the greatest relationship you will ever have is the one you build with yourself. Rejection by one's child in old age is a deeply painful experience, one that shakes the foundation of a parent's heart. After years of love, sacrifice, and dedication, to be turned away or forgotten feels like the ultimate betrayal. It is natural to grieve this loss, to feel abandoned and unappreciated. The pain is real and it cuts deep. However, within this pain lies a hidden truth. Rejection, as agonizing as it is, can become a powerful teacher. It forces us to look beyond the roles we have played and truly understand the nature of life, relationships, and most importantly, ourselves. We often grow up with an unspoken belief that love is transactional, that if we give endlessly, nurture unconditionally, and dedicate our lives to another, we will receive the same in return. We tell ourselves that a child raised with love will always be there, will always recognize the sacrifices made, and will always hold us close. But the reality of life does not always align with these expectations. People change, circumstances evolve, and sometimes children grow in directions that take them far, physically, emotionally, or both. They develop their own perspectives, their own priorities, and in some cases, their own resentment. This does not necessarily mean they are ungrateful or cruel, it simply means they are human. The initial response to such rejection is often confusion and sorrow. How could this happen? What did I do wrong? These questions echo in the mind, creating a spiral of self-doubt. But here is where a shift in perspective can transform this painful experience into a blessing. The truth is that no one is entitled to another person's love, not even a parent from their child. Love, by its very nature, must be freely given, not expected or demanded. This understanding can be liberating. It means that a parent's worth is not diminished by a child's absence. It means that their identity is not solely tied to their role as a parent. Rejection, when embraced with wisdom, opens the door to self-reflection and growth. It is an opportunity to ask, who am I beyond being a parent? What do I want for myself in this stage of life? It encourages a shift from seeking validation in others to finding fulfillment within. The pain does not disappear overnight, but over time, it transforms into strength, clarity, and ultimately, a newfound sense of freedom. Parents often believe that their sacrifices and unconditional love will naturally result in a lifelong bond with their children. This belief is deeply ingrained in human nature. The idea that love, care, and devotion will be reciprocated. From the moment a child is born, a parent dedicates themselves to nurturing, protecting, and guiding them, often putting their child's needs before their own. They make countless sacrifices, sometimes at the cost of their own dreams, desires, and well-being, believing that their child will appreciate these efforts and, in return, remain close and loyal throughout life. However, life does not always unfold in this manner. The illusion of control in parent-child relationships can be deceptive. Parents spend years shaping their child's world, teaching them values, and providing emotional and financial support. Naturally, they develop an expectation that these efforts will shape the child's future behavior and attitude toward them. But as children grow, they develop their own independent identities, shaped by experiences outside of their parents' control. They encounter new influences, form their own perspectives, and sometimes those perspectives lead them away from the very people who raised them. The painful truth is that no amount of parental love can dictate the choices a child makes as an adult. When rejection comes in old age, it feels like a betrayal of this unspoken contract between parent and child. It is difficult to accept that the years of devotion, the sleepless nights, and the sacrifices made may not result in the deep, lifelong connection that was once expected. However, this painful reality can serve as a powerful awakening. It reminds parents that children are not possessions, they are individuals with their own journeys, emotions, and struggles. They may choose paths that do not align with parental hopes, and while this may be painful, it is a reminder that control over another human being's emotions and decisions is an illusion. Accepting this truth can be liberating. It allows parents to release unrealistic expectations and focus on their own inner peace. Instead of dwelling on the unfairness of rejection, they can shift their energy towards self-fulfillment. Letting go of the illusion of control does not mean abandoning love. It means understanding that love, in its purest form, is given without conditions. When parents recognize this, they begin to heal, embracing their own worth beyond their role in their child's life. Rejection by one's child in old age is an emotional wound that can feel unbearable. The very person you nurtured, guided, and sacrificed for has now turned away, leaving you with feelings of abandonment and sorrow. However, hidden within this painful experience is an opportunity for profound personal growth, the blessing of letting go. While it may seem impossible at first, detachment from expectations can be one of the most liberating experiences of life. From the earliest moments of parenthood, there is an innate desire to remain connected to one's child. The love a parent gives is often selfless, but it is also deeply tied to an expectation. The hope that this love will be returned in kind, that it will create an unbreakable bond. When a child, now an adult, chooses to distance themselves or reject the relationship, it shatters this expectation, leaving the parent in a state of grief. The natural instinct is to hold on tighter, to seek explanations, to try to mend what feels broken. But in doing so, many parents unknowingly prolong their own suffering. The path to healing begins with acceptance. Letting go does not mean giving up on love. It means releasing the need for validation from another person. It means understanding that while a child is a significant part of one's life, they do not define one's existence. Holding on to the pain of rejection only deepens the wounds, creating bitterness and resentment. However, choosing to let go of expectations allows for inner peace to emerge. It is the realization that true happiness cannot be dependent on another person's choices, even if that person is one's own child. Freedom comes when a parent stops chasing approval and starts embracing their own life. It means redirecting energy toward personal fulfillment, hobbies, friendships, and self-care. It means understanding that while relationships change, life still holds countless opportunities for joy and meaning. By letting go, a parent steps into a space of emotional independence, where they can appreciate the love they once gave without expecting anything in return. In the end, rejection can be a powerful teacher. It teaches resilience, self-love, and the ability to find peace within. Instead of seeing rejection as the end of a meaningful connection, it can be seen as the beginning of a new, liberated chapter, one where inner peace is no longer tied to the actions of another, but is found within oneself. For many parents, their sense of identity and self-worth is deeply tied to their role in their child's life. From the moment of birth, a parent devotes themselves to nurturing, protecting, and guiding their child, often making personal sacrifices along the way. Over the years, this role becomes an integral part of their existence, and their child's love and appreciation become a source of validation. However, when a child rejects their parent in old age, whether through emotional distance, neglect, or outright abandonment, it can feel like a direct attack on their worth. It raises painful questions. Was I not good enough? Did I fail as a parent? Was all my love for nothing? But the truth is, self-worth is not defined by any relationship, not even the one between parent and child. A parent's value does not diminish simply because a child chooses to walk away. This is one of the hardest but most necessary realizations to embrace. While the pain of rejection is undeniable, it is important to understand that a person's worth is not dependent on whether someone else acknowledges it. The love and effort given over the years were real, meaningful, and significant, regardless of the outcome. One of the greatest lessons in life is learning to separate external validation from internal self-acceptance. Society often reinforces the idea that a parent's success is measured by how their child turns out. How loving they are, how often they visit, how deeply they remain connected. But this is an illusion. Every individual, including one's child, has their own experiences, struggles, and choices that shape their actions. A child's rejection does not erase a parent's kindness, sacrifices, or the unconditional love they gave. Healing begins when a parent shifts their focus from seeking love to cultivating their own sense of fulfillment. Instead of measuring self-worth through the eyes of another, they can turn inward and embrace their own value. This means investing in personal joy, hobbies, friendships, and a life that is rich with meaning beyond parental identity. It means recognizing that they are complete on their own, without needing anyone else's approval to validate their existence. Rejection, as painful as it may be, offers an unexpected gift: the opportunity to rediscover oneself beyond the role of a parent. It is a chance to stand tall, knowing that worth is intrinsic, unshaken by the choices of others, and defined by the love one carries within. As people age, they often find themselves facing solitude, whether by choice or circumstance. When a child distances themselves or rejects their parent, it can create a deep emotional void, leaving the parent feeling abandoned and questioning their purpose. The silence that follows can be deafening, bringing waves of grief, regret, and self-doubt. However, within this solitude lies a hidden opportunity, an invitation to embark on a journey of self-discovery, wisdom, and a deeper connection with life itself. For much of life, parents are consumed by responsibilities, raising children, building careers, and tending to the needs of others. Their identity is often tied to their roles, leaving little room for self-exploration. When old age arrives, especially when faced with rejection, there is a sudden shift. The busyness fades, the distractions lessen, and what remains is time. Time to reflect, to understand, and to grow. While loneliness can initially feel like a curse, it can also be transformed into a space for enlightenment and renewal. In solitude, one gains clarity. Without the noise of external validation or the pressure of relationships, a person is free to examine their life through an unbiased lens. They can ask themselves, what do I truly love? What brings me joy? What dreams have I set aside? Rejection, though painful, pushes a person towards self-sufficiency, forcing them to seek fulfillment from within rather than from external sources. Solitude also nurtures wisdom. In stillness, people have the opportunity to reflect on their experiences, gain insights, and develop a deeper understanding of life. They begin to realize that love is not about possession or control, but about giving without expectation. They learn that true peace comes not from being needed, but from accepting what is and finding contentment in the present moment. Moreover, being alone does not mean being lonely. It is a chance to reconnect with passions that may have been forgotten. Reading, writing, traveling, painting, or simply enjoying nature. It is an opportunity to cultivate new friendships, explore spirituality, or engage in community activities. When approached with the right mindset, solitude becomes a gift, allowing one to live with purpose and dignity rather than being consumed by sorrow and regret. Rejection can feel like a cruel twist of fate, but in truth, it is a doorway to self-realization. In the silence of solitude, a person can rediscover themselves, embrace their own company, and find a profound sense of peace that is independent of anyone else's presence. When a child rejects their parent in old age, the immediate reaction is often one of deep hurt, confusion, and resentment. The mind races with questions. How could my own child turn away from me? After everything I have done, do I not deserve their love and care? These thoughts create an emotional burden that weighs heavily on the heart, leading to bitterness and prolonged suffering. However, there is an alternative path, one that leads not to resentment, but to peace. That path is forgiveness. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many believe it means excusing the actions of the one who caused pain, or pretending that the hurt never happened. But true forgiveness is not about justifying another person's behavior. It is about releasing oneself from the chains of anger and disappointment. Holding on to resentment does not change the past, nor does it bring the child back. Instead, it poisons the soul, creating a cycle of emotional distress that affects one's well-being. Choosing to forgive, on the other hand, is an act of self-liberation. It is the decision to no longer allow the pain of the past to dictate the present. Understanding plays a key role in this process. Every person, including one's own child, has a unique life experience that shapes their choices and actions. Perhaps they carry unspoken wounds, misunderstandings, or struggles that are unknown to the parent. While their rejection may feel like a personal attack, it is often a reflection of their own internal battles, rather than a measure of a parent's worth. Recognizing this can shift the focus from resentment to compassion, making forgiveness more attainable. Forgiveness does not necessarily mean reconciliation. It does not require waiting for an apology or hoping for a restored relationship. Instead, it is an internal process that allows a parent to move forward without bitterness. It is about choosing peace over pain, understanding over anger, and freedom over emotional imprisonment. It is about saying, I may not understand your choices, but I refuse to let them define my happiness. In choosing forgiveness, a parent reclaims their power. They stop waiting for validation and start embracing the life they have, free from the weight of past disappointments. By letting go of resentment, they open the door to inner peace, allowing themselves to experience joy, self-love, and fulfillment, regardless of the circumstances they face. When a child rejects their parent in old age, it can feel like an unbearable loss. For years, a parent's life revolved around their child, providing, nurturing, and sacrificing, always believing that this love and dedication would create an unbreakable bond. But when that bond is severed, whether through distance, neglect, or complete abandonment, it can leave a parent feeling lost, as if their very purpose in life has been taken away. The pain of rejection is real, but so is the opportunity it presents. The chance to start living for oneself. Many parents, especially those from cultures where family loyalty is highly valued, spend their entire lives prioritizing their children's needs over their own. Their happiness becomes dependent on their child's love, their sense of purpose tied to being needed. When that role is no longer required, it can create an identity crisis. Who am I if I am no longer a parent in my child's life? What do I do with the years I have left? These questions, though painful, hold the key to a powerful transformation. The truth is, life does not end when a child walks away. In fact, it can be the beginning of something new, something deeply fulfilling. This stage of life can become a time of rediscovery, a chance to reconnect with long-lost passions, build new relationships, and find joy outside of the parental role. Instead of dwelling on the absence of a child, one can focus on what remains: health, time, and the ability to create meaningful experiences. It is an opportunity to shift the mindset from "I have lost something" to "I still have so much to gain." Living for oneself does not mean abandoning love. It means redirecting it. The love that was once given so freely to a child who no longer reciprocates can now be given to oneself. It can be expressed through self-care, personal growth, and new adventures. There is still laughter to be shared, books to be read, places to explore, and friendships to be made. The world is vast, and it holds countless opportunities for joy, ones that do not depend on anyone else. Rejection is not the end of the road. It is a turning point. It is the moment when one chooses to embrace life, not as someone waiting for love to return, but as someone who understands that their own happiness is, and always has been, their responsibility.